Another one of the things I need to catch up on is the increasing hell that is being raised over the Harper government's refusal to fund safe abortions in African war zones, despite claiming to suddenly have a very high respect for women's rights. Now, the reason I say that is because pretty much every woman in Africa getting an abortion is doing so because they were raped. This is something that anyone who simply picks up a newspaper knows, yet our hard right-wing Christian fundamentalist federal government refuses to even acknowledge. In fact, a conservative senator recently told a women's rights group concerned about this to shut the fuck up, her words, or face consequences. Sure enough, many of those groups have had their federal funding pulled. Most disgusting of all, my nemesis, Charles McVety of the Harper-connected Canadian Family Action Coalition, actually went on the CBC last week and had the nerve to claim that women aren't really being raped in Africa. According to McVety, who claims to be a minister but I refuse to call him one, all those surveys that say South Africa alone has more rapes per capita than any place in the world, that a young woman is more likely to be raped than learn how to read in that part of the world, and that even children and babies are being raped in the tens of thousands, are all a liberal hoax. Yes, you heard that right. According to the so-called man of God, every investigative journalist, police officer, university scientist, and humanitarian worker who has actually been in the third world is just making this shit up. Why am I not surprised? After all, McVety personally has lied many times about the following. He's claimed that evolutionists are Nazis. He's claimed that teaching kids about sexual orientation will magically create new gays and lesbians. He's claimed that a movie that hasn't even been made is not only pornographic but a box office flop. And he's claimed that another movie that has a kid being adopted by two gay men is about brainwashing that child into being gay himself. What's he going to say next? That shopping at Macy's will turn a man into a woman? Then again, this shouldn't surprise anyone when you really think about it. After all, one of the main reasons women and girls are raped in Africa is for being lesbians. The thought is that gang-raping lesbians will convert them to heterosexuality. Furthermore, the government quietly allows it because they want to appear macho. If you think I'm making that up, run a Google search on Yudi Samalane, who was gang-raped and murdered for being, among other things, a gay rights activist. So this is probably just fine to the famously homophobic McVety. Frankly, the only difference between this bigot and Fred Phelps is that McVety uses more polite language in public. So, Mr. McVety, a so-called Reverend Doctor, I have a simple message for you. I dare you to talk to workers in Amnesty International, the International Red Cross, the United Nations, or even better, refugees who came to Canada from Africa specifically because they were being raped, and tell them to their face that you think they are complete liars. For that matter, I dare you to, for once, step out of your ivory tower and actually do what Jesus would have done. In other words, I dare you to go to Africa yourself and help these women put their lives back together. Once you've seen that firsthand, I then dare you to go back to your followers, go back on Canadian television, and try to say with a straight face that you think rape in Africa is a fucking myth. In the meantime, I dare every single person watching this video to email the Canadian Family Action Coalition and tell them exactly what you feel about Charles McVety. Enough said.